If you've ever felt stuck in a cycle of procrastination and constant distractions while trying to complete the work, this video will change the way you work forever. And by the end of this video, I hope to help you master your focus by using neuroscience-backed strategies to achieve this result. Hello, I'm Dylan, I'm 18, I turned lazy people productive using tactical techniques and strategies that changed my life forever. I spent over 5,000 hours playing Call of Duty and other such video games, and now I effortlessly and easily breeze through large banks of my work for my business, education and personal development goals, and the majority of the reason is due to the neuroscience-based strategies in this video. I'm going to be going over how it works, the mechanisms of the brain that create it to work, and the strategies that hijack these neurological functions to biohack yourself to productivity. So some precursors to start. So the prefrontal cortex is the main area of the brain that plays a role in attention and focus. So if you ever feel attention and focus, that's the prefrontal cortex activating and being activated by the work you're completing. Everyone knows about dopamine as the second precursor. Dopamine is the hormone, the neurotransmitter that engages you in motivation and focused work by the completion of meaningful tasks or the stimulation from external stimuli. With those neurobiological precursors aside, let's get into it. So one of the main ways you become productive and you engage in this focused work is by removing distractions. And the reason for this is when you get stimulated from an external distraction, for example, a notification which is coded red, it's got engagement, it's got this buzz, it's got all these features that are trying to hack your biology and make you more engaged and take your attention away. So the reason this works is based on the DMN, default mode network. When you get engaged by external stimuli, you revert to this DMN, and this DMN is correlated with mind wandering, and this alone makes it harder to get back to the task. It makes it harder to be more engaged. So removing distractions, turn your phone on Do Not Disturb, and don't let this DMN be activated. That's the pre-strategy tip. Now I have 5 strategies here for you. So first you need to prime your brain for focus, and the simple way to do this is by setting clear objectives of the work session you have ahead. So rather than saying I'm going to revise, I'm going to complete a task towards my business, you need to have specific criteria. And the easiest way you can do this is by having SMART objectives: specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. By having this criteria checklist for the goals you're trying to, for the session of what you're trying to complete, this stimulates the RAS. So the reticular activating system is a part of your neurobiology which allows you to filter through the external stimuli, filter through stuff you don't need to be focused on, and allow your brain to focus on the stuff you do. So by having a clear goal, for example, I need to revise Business Unit 1, your brain will look through this bundle of paper on your desk. For example, you have paper here, paper here, paper here. It'll look for Business Unit 1 and it'll focus on that while eliminating the bombarding stimuli of the ethics and philosophy or the sociology, for example. It filters out the noise and allows you to focus on the task ahead, only by having specific measurable criteria that allows your RAS, the reticular activating system, to engage in focus on the task ahead. It also helps if you have mental imagery, if you know exactly what it looks like, for example, the past paper, maybe there's a color scheme to your vision, etc., then it means your reticular activating system will work better because it has the mental imagery to reinforce the reticular activating system. And again, limit distractions. This is strategy number 2. So the reticular activating system is quite effective at eliminating this bombarding stimuli. However, if you have these distractions constantly coming in, then you activate the DMN, as we previously spoke about, and it can sidetrack your RAS, it can sidetrack your focus, breaking you out of this flow state of work, and pretty much meaning you'll get no work done. The next strategy or tip is to work in a focused cycle. For example, an ultradian cycle. So the brain neurobiologically only has a set time it's able to work before the focus disengages and your RAS has external stimuli to focus on. So 90 minutes is the suggested ultradian cycle, but for the majority of people, a Pomodoro technique will be more effective, 20 to 25 minutes on, and then the rest of 5 minutes going back to that cycle. It'll be able to counteract your short attention span from constant stimulation via social media. Next, you want to leverage dopamine. See, dopamine is a very powerful neurotransmitter in the regard that it brings motivation towards you and your work, keeping you focused, making you feel good during the work, and making sure you're consistent in completing it over the long term, because dopamine is a great hormone. An easy way to stimulate this is using the snowball technique I created. Using the snowball technique, I'll link the video here, but essentially snowballing is using micro tasks to build up the momentum and inertia to dominate and complete the large tasks. So by chunking up your goals and your tasks and your criteria of the session that we spoke about previously, by chunking up your SMART objectives into minor completable tasks, means you can stack this dopamine, because when you write all your tasks out and you tick, going through your tasks, going through the micro tasks and ticking them off, you're building up this dopamine from the release of the complete of the work. This manageable chunking system allows for frequent release of dopamine, pretty much compounding yourself into a moment of inertia, compounding yourself into motivation for the work you need to complete. Lastly, the final strategy I have is to progressively overload your prefrontal cortex. So the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain structure that allows you to focus and pay attention to certain things, is something that's very susceptible for distraction in the common world, in the modern world. So just as you go to the gym and you have a lacking physique and then you build it over time using progressive overload, so you start light and then go heavier and heavier and heavier until eventually your body is adapted and then you grow muscle. The prefrontal cortex works in the same way. You can build on it. You can build upon your attention span, your focus span, and in the long run compound success via productivity, because you're able to focus and pay attention to the work more, meaning you complete more work in the long run and therefore reap more reward. So there's two ways you can do this. You either meditate and you increase your mindfulness. So say you add it into your weekly schedule. I need to meditate 3 sessions per week. This will increase the prefrontal cortex ability to regulate attention and minimize distraction. Equally, progressively overloading via the duration of the work you do will be also effective. So to conclude, the 5 strategies from this video to hack your neurobiology to engage in better and more focused work for productivity. Prime your brain for focus using clear, SMART objectives to stimulate your RAS into focusing on the task ahead and eliminating external stimuli from stuff that's distracting you. Limit those distractions by using Do Not Disturb and other tactics like that to stop your RAS from getting sidetracked and stop your brain from going into the DMN mode that we previously spoke about. Work in focus blocks of ultradian cycles, or use 20 to 25 minute cycles of work with 5-minute breaks in between, depending on your attention span. Leverage dopamine using the snowball technique, aka using the tiny chunked tasks to stimulate frequent dopamine release. And finally, train your focus. Progressively overload your prefrontal cortex until your ability to focus for longer and maintain your attention across a longer span of time increases. I hope you found this video useful. I hope you found it at least interesting, and I hope you take tips to actualize the biohacking of your neurobiology. I hope you use the strategies and advice I've given you in this video and you can comprehend it easily enough to implement it into your own strategy for productivity and engaging in more focused and deep focus work. If you're looking to get more help from me, the top link in the description will take you to a one-to-one meeting page with me where you can book a session and I can turn you productive using the exact same strategies that turned me productive. They've helped thousands of people around the world and I hope to apply them to your life and change you. If you're looking to help I'm looking to help you help yourself. Click the top link if you're interested.